All right, 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have the goal?
Yep.
Then we will move to approval of this evening's agenda.
I move we approve this evening's agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. To the consent agenda, all items on the consent agenda will be passed in one council motion unless there is something we need to remove and have a further discussion on. Don, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Anyone for the Blackduck Forum?
Oh.
Scott?
Why you seem so hesitant?
Well,
You know,
what do you got for us, Scott?
so I just wanted to provide an update on the Shade Store. I know I'm aware of a lot of chatter on social media. And it hasn't necessarily been positive. People are wondering who's doing what's going on, is anybody doing anything? So I just wanted to share what I've been doing as part of the BDC to help get somebody in that building once it finally closes. So I've been working with Deed, SEP, a little bit with Shade Store Corporate and HRDC, making a lot of connections, talking to different people about, you know, what can I do, what can we do to help facilitate getting a new business in there and getting these people reemployed once the Shade Store closes. I will be having an impact or an economic impact analysis completed. That should be done in about 2-3 weeks, just to get an idea of obviously the economic impact that it had. I've seen a couple of sample studies and they're very interesting, you know, because it's not just the employees that are impacted, it's the businesses in town and, you know, other providers that provide services, you know, for an existing business. I've also reached out to various industries that might be seeking expansion, and I just did this on, you know, you can't find, or at least I can't find information on who's looking to expand. So I just did some cold calling to 4 or 5 different businesses within the region to see if they'd be interested. One of them is actually closing, so they're not interested. But there was, out of the, let's see what I got, 4. Out of the 4, I had one that was somewhat positive. And that's Lakeshore. They're out of Detroit Lakes. I talked to the vice president there last week. She said she was gonna run it up the chain of command and talk about it a little bit. And she would get back to me. And that was on Friday that I talked to her, so I'm hoping to hear something positive or, you know, yes or no, sometime early this week. I'm also aware of 2 offers that have been made on the building. And I just talked to a lady today that put in an offer on it. And she's hoping that within 2 weeks, she'll either be able to move forward and go from there. And in the conversation that I had with her, it's exciting for what she wants to do.
And that's for a business, right?
It is for a business, yes, that will employ. I'll give you this much, I can give you this much information. I asked her, how many people are you going, do you project to employ? And she said, everybody that's losing their job there, if they want to apply here and work here, so I'll take them all. So that's exciting. And I don't know the lady personally. I've talked to her twice on the phone. But it sounds like she's got her ducks in a row and everything together. She mentioned she is currently working on her business plan, and that should be done where she can actually sign the purchase agreement. Get her, put the business plan together so she can go to the bank. So the bank can finance her.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we're at.
And when you say they made offers to purchase the building, you mean the entire property there as well, not just the structure?
Correct, all of it.
And is the former Legion building still a part of that parcel, or is that?
Yes,
And that would be included in
Yes.
the offer to purchase, so there wouldn't be anything left that is unpurchased then.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not say yes to that,
Okay,
because I don't know what's going on there.
okay, well, I mean, at that location,
Right, yeah, out
Where the
there,
shade store
yeah,
is.
everything that's out
The
there,
main campus.
Right.
entire parcels,
Correct.
et cetera.
correct.
Okay.
And I believe that
That's
it
good.
also is going to include this, but I've reached out to the broker and we're playing phone game. I just wanted an update on that, because,
And so that it's on the record, that's Collier's.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
And just to clarify, you said two separate parties that made offers on the property? And are they being reviewed by the shade store, or do we know what the status is?
I know one is for sure.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure about the other.
Any other questions for Scott?
Yeah, I'm,
Okay.
without getting real giddy.
I
I even told the lady, I said, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay,
Well, that's good. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
I don't really want to see you giddy.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your work, Scott.
You're
Is there anyone else for the Blackduck Forum?
No, that gentleman just answered all my questions. We're good.
I kind of figured that. You had, so that's why I wanted to go first.
With that, we will move to report the committees and staff. And Mike?
Me first, like always. You're first. I got nothing for you.
No
We're,
snow?
we're transitioning, hopefully.
You said that last meeting.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't take all the stuff off for a reason. It's staying on right now too. But we're starting to look forward to getting mowers up and running and getting everything ready, hoping everything greens up pretty soon.
How is finding folks to fill the voids?
I've got one that can at least start in May, which is good, so we won't get behind. Won't be able to work full time, but kind of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off because of some obligations that she has. Other than that, I've heard nothing but crickets. So we'll see how it goes.
On Mike's report.
Would you like to tag on Mike's report?
Sounds great.
Because I think that there's probably something that has to come from you guys next. Go ahead.
I think we're just gonna kind of update on lead service lines a little bit more. So Department of Health had a second round of that technical assistance funding, which was what they called that first round where we did the home inspections and the records review, and Christina applied for that, so hopefully getting into this summer, we'll be able to start. Trying to clean up a few more of the unknowns. I believe there's still 83 on the city and then 31 on the customer side. I don't know what the exact total is, some of them are the same line and stuff like that.
How many was on the customer side?
31.
31. Okay, thank you.
And again, to reiterate, I know you guys are single ownership, but in the Department of Health side, that's from the main to the right of way is city and right of way to. But through our inspections and stuff like that, there were 3 galvanized lines that were identified. And they're considering galvanized for replacement because a lot of times galvanized use a lead solder to actually make the joints, so. Not really a whole lot safer than
Nope.
anything else, so. We're kind of recommending to go forward and apply for the PPL to replace those 3. For the fiscal year 2026 funding that would come out on that.
Okay.
So the deadline for that is May 5th,
Second or something.
May 2nd. And that's an application that we can put together and it doesn't take much time. We pretty much just apply for those 3 at this time. I think earlier on in end of the year, maybe it was even January, we were talking about applying for all of the unknowns. But the second round of technical assistance is kind of the Department of Health saying, well, we can't fund all the unknowns, so we gotta maybe cut the list down. But the 3 that could be replaced at this time, we would recommend kind of having us put that application together. It's pretty
Doesn't-
normal.
Partner with me for that PPL then.
Yeah, I think that'd be on city letterhead like usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we would suggest that you put some unknowns in there because they told us flat out that you're not gonna put any unknowns in there. Well, not every community is doing that, so. We're hoping they're going to have a little more guidance for us. They haven't quite figured out the program yet, so the way we're approaching that is that. We would put some of the unknowns in there. We just don't know what that number is, but prior to replacing them, obviously we'd have to topple down, verify what's there. If it's in need of replacement, we replace it. If not, we go to the next one. So that's what we're recommending for our communities at this point.
I think we got approval to do that in one of the prior meetings.
We did, like in December or January.
Yeah.
Okay, any other public works related? Fingers crossed. Okay. Nothing else? Shonda,
Well, I don't have a whole lot. For you guys either, Lori and I attended a food show, had a. Quite precarious, drive back. Well, that's right, it wasn't. So, yeah,
you should go in the spring.
yeah, when the weather's nice. We should go to South St. Paul too, that's fun. Anyway, no, we went there, it was great, illuminating, we had, there's over 240 vendors there. There were some that were based at like, pizzerias and then upscale dining and a lot of vendors had very similar items, so they were trying to, and there's no way that, I don't know, I guess if Gloria had, and I had not eaten for like 3 days, then we could have really gave it justice, but
Lots of food.
lots of food, and then they're throwing on the plate, try this, try that, and yeah, so. We got some ideas, some unique. We tasted some unique things, one lady deep fried strawberry angel food cake. And made
Sounds
that
like
an
a-
appetizer.
Minnesota Fair thing.
It was so good, it was so surprising.
Was it on a stick?
It was not on a stick, but they gave you two, like, you could make your own.
Sometimes unique is not maybe the best way to drive, but.
It was very good though, it was surprisingly tasty, anyway. But some sauces that we could incorporate, change it up a little bit, do some You know, we do a new special every week, so we try to think outside the box, make it so you can eat there every week and still not have the same thing. We are having the chamber bingo is April 27th, 1 p.m.
And let me tell you. Thank you. To the pond, the staff, everybody down there, make sure they know.
Yeah.
That the chamber, it has been very well received this year,
Right?
and it's gone quite well, so. Thank you.
That's good, yeah, and this is my first day back after about almost 3 weeks out, so. Happy to be back in it.
Rich is still alive.
Yeah, well, yeah. He got to go to work, I had to stay home. And had this illusion that I was gonna get all these projects done, but, you know, it's tough when you can't. Yeah. You're not painting anything, you're not, you know, assembling anything, you're not doing, yeah,
Well, glad you're back.
pretty sick of it. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. March was a little tough, we had our, you know, right down the beginning of it, we've had a few storms, it's been, you know.
The numbers still pulled out.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, we're not up a great deal, but we still sold some stuff, so. That's good, I'm just hoping that April, like he says, brings up and we get people up here for opening their cabins and things.
Very good.
Any questions for me?
Yeah, I noticed in the consent agenda, we had an invoice from Huntington for the sign and the payment advice said final payment. Does
Yeah.
that mean it's paid off?
That is correct.
That is
the
correct.
That's
Last
the
payment
last
of the
time?
message board, yep,
That's the last
That's the
time
last
we're gonna
one.
see a Huntington invoice.
only for the liquor store. Huntington also takes care of the golf court
Carts, okay.
carts,
But the sign, okay.
but this is for the message board, yes.
Yes.
I just
Yep.
wanted to make sure that
Yep.
final meant final.
Yeah, well, good, cause that's what I thought too, and I was gonna address that maybe after the meeting and be like, Christina, are you sure?
Yep.
We
Yep.
own it now?
February 25, that was the last
Okay.
payment, yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Glad to hear
Pleased to have that off your debt schedule.
yes,
That's good this year.
very much so.
And all the cameras are in?
They are working fantastic.
Perfect. Anything else for Shonda? Thank you. Oh, Christina.
I am going to let the reps from the Boys and Girls Club start and take over where I do my stuff. You guys take as much time and space as you want.
Thank you, Sabrina.
We'll roll out the podium. Some people use it, some people don't. It might be lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can tend to be long-winded, so we have a timer here.
Oh. Well, you're not as locked up forum, so you get more than 3 minutes.
We,
You're
we'll
on
talk
the
about,
agenda, it's okay.
that's right, well, we'll
We're
have to
not
talk about the boys and girls. So, we
It's
just,
not Scott.
what was that?
No, I mean,
That took up more than 3 minutes.
He's doing great work. So we just wanted to thank you, for your time this evening. Everybody, sorry.
It's fine. Except for a reason.
Thank you for your time and, for, just hearing a little bit about what, we're gonna share tonight, which is, a club update. We're going to kind of ask you for some of your thoughts, and then we're gonna go into a little bit of sustainability. So I'm gonna turn it over. I'm Andrea Kent, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of the Bemidji area, which is our clubhouse in Bemidji, which is a J.W. Smith Elementary branch site, and here in Blackduck. And then, of course, there's the designated Blackduck staff that here is here and serving Blackduck kids. And this is Nikki. Yeah, I'm Nikki Ranchetti. I'm the Resource Development and Grants Coordinator for the club, and I've been working in Blackduck quite a bit and really loving it so far. I also want to briefly introduce Tori Swedberg. He's here. He's on our Blackduck Advisory Committee. We had a couple other members who were hoping to join but weren't able to make it tonight, so we're really glad that Tori was able to. So like Andrea said, we just want to give kind of an update on the club and how it's been doing the last 7 months. So if you aren't familiar with the Blackduck branch and how it got to come here, we were reached out to by the United Way of Bemidji area with their expression of the need that the Blackduck community had for childcare out of school time for their kids. And they brought us in and after a feasibility study and getting some initial startup funds from the state, we were able to open up the Blackduck branch back in September. So that was really exciting. I think we saw a couple of you at the open house, which was lovely to see. And since then, we have been serving grades K through 8 at a dedicated space inside of the Blackduck school building. And we are up to around 70 kids registered, which is fantastic. Our goal is 90 and we're still kind of slowly working up to that number. And we have around 30 to 35 kids showing up on Tuesday through Friday. And then a little lower on Mondays, but still really good turnout. So our service model is currently 5 days a week for the academic school year. So that's a full day program on Monday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then Tuesday through Friday after school from around 4 o'clock until 6:30. We have a lot of great programming that we do in 4 different priority areas, which are academic success, to help kids with their schoolwork and stay in school and love learning. It is health and well-being to teach healthy habits, physical activity, good nutrition. It is character and leadership to teach kids how to be good friends and to be involved in their communities and help each other. And it is life and workforce readiness. So that is teaching them skills that they will need throughout their lives and also helping them explore what jobs they might want to do in the future, whether that's being a doctor or a dentist or working in math as a teacher, anything that they could dream of. We want to give them the space to explore that possibility and enjoy that. So in addition to the programming, we also provide free snacks and meals to the kids so that they can have a full belly to enjoy learning. And so far, we wanted to share that we have served over 2,200 of those snacks and meals to kids in Blackduck, which we think is absolutely fantastic, and we're so happy to be able to do that for the kids. So that's just kind of a little bit of an introduction on some of what we do. I know that at least a couple of the council members have a connection to the club, might know young people who are club members. And so now that we've kind of shared how we feel the club is doing, we also wanted to ask, like, what are your thoughts on what you've seen the club do so far in the community, whether that's through a young person that you know who's involved, or maybe if you don't have someone, what you've seen in the community otherwise.
I'm gonna jump right in and go that they've been a wonderful addition. They've been big in the community, they've been involved. I see them at every chamber meeting. I see them at any of the functions like the trunk retreat. They were there for blowing the snow, they were there, they've been a big part, so. They've been very involved.
I think it's a wonderful thing for the kids. My little guy just loves going to so you can't go there, he's kind of down on me, so I think he's I go in there, he's really improved his schoolwork, so I think it's made a difference in his life. So. Yeah, I couldn't wait for him to come up here, so he had to join this club here.
We stopped in the club before club was over today, so we stopped in the clubhouse and we were able to hang out with Daniel for a few minutes, and he had helped the staff by finishing vacuuming, so life skill, right? And also was wiping off some of the tables because they had a paint project, an art project today. And he is on a mission. He knows how to save. So he can earn points, right? So he got a few points for helping, and did it willingly, which was great. Which is great. You might have mentioned, I wish they did this at home, and I was like, yeah, me too. But it was great to see him engaged and active and helping, being kind and serving others, and also he has, if for 200 points, he gets to choose a movie, and the whole club gets popcorn that day. And so, but 200 points is a lot, but he's saving those. He's helping and involved and working together with other kids, and he wants to put on the movie and popcorn party. So he's saving it for 200 points, which is really cool. I was like, what? You can pie up staff in the pace for 75 points. Don't you want to do that instead? And he's like, nope, I want to put on the popcorn or the movie and the popcorn party. And I was like, how awesome is that? I love that. I was like, I need a Daniel in my house who's gonna come over and vacuum and wash the tables and be super positive. So I appreciate that too.
Yeah, and the way that kids earn points is by doing things like vacuuming and helping staff. It's by being kind to their other club members and helping them out. If a club member's having a bad day and another one goes up and cheers them up, they get points for that, and staff try to recognize that really positive and good behavior. And then they can save it up and earn little prizes, and sometimes big prizes like a movie, or like, mildly harassing a staff member, pie in the face or dyeing their hair a wacky color. And it's a lot of fun, and the kids really love that program. And Daniel isn't the only kid that we've seen really grow in the club either. We've seen a couple members who were, I'm thinking of one 6th grader in particular who was a quiet kid to start off with and a little disengaged. He wasn't sure he wanted to be at the club. But little by little, the staff started to ask him for help with small things, and he started to really engage in that and started to offer to help when the opportunity arose. And now he really has taken on a leadership role in the club. He loves, he jokes and laughs with the staff and the other club members all the time. And he's become a role model to the younger kids, which is really great to see. Just kind of how he's blossomed in that space in the last, 7 months. It's only been 7 months and it's already made that big of a difference in his life. And we know that it also impacts beyond just the club kids themselves. We've seen impacts in entire families. We were at the resource fair that was held at the school in October. And a father came up to us and was talking about how excited he was to enroll his kids in the club because it meant that he'd be able to work on Mondays for the first time in years. And be able to help support his family more. And so to see that our being here is not just helping the club kids in their academics and in their life and in their growth as people, but also helping their entire families and beyond that, the entire community. It means a lot to us, and we're so happy to be here. And it just, I don't know, it warms my heart at least. So
When we stopped in today, we talked with Barb. She's a teacher at Blackduck schools, and she was there to greet us. She's one of our member services people, so she knows all the kids by name. And when you walk in, she's like, please get Daniel, like knows the kids by name. And I just said, well, how's it going? And she's like, good. And I said, well, thank you for, you're a teacher, like you don't have to necessarily work on all day Mondays. You're contracted Tuesday through Friday. And so I want to thank you for being a teacher who decided to join our staff. And in fact, actually 5 teachers are on our club staff. So they wear 2 hats, teacher by day, club staff by evening. And so we appreciate that because they know the kids. She's telling us today that she is so excited because there's a kiddo that's a club member. She teaches special ed at the high school level, starting 7th grade and above. And so she's excited because there's a kiddo that's in 5th grade and he was getting pretty down on himself. And he also would be a special needs kid. And she was like, you're doing great. And like encouraging him and so just saying, I'm so excited to be your teacher when you get to be in 7th grade. And so like she and this club member have already formed this bond. He's in 5th grade. Will continue hopefully to be a club member. And then she will see him. She's like, the rapport that I'm already building with this kiddo is gonna mean huge impact when he gets to be in my class, because I already know him, I already know what makes him tick and what triggers him. I already know kind of the family structure and what's going on, what kind of supports he needs and what kind of supports he has. All those things is gonna make my job much easier. It's still a hard job. Being a special ed teacher is still a hard job, but it's gonna make a difference for her, and it's gonna make a difference for this kiddo, in a couple of years when she's like, I can't wait, like, because then he's gonna be out of 7th grade and 8th grade and still be able to come to the club, so that was kind of cool. So I told Nikki coming up here, I said, I'm always conflicted when to give the handout, because once I give the handout, we still want to be able to engage and talk. So we're gonna give you a handout, but I ask you to still engage with me a little bit. Because we're gonna get into the sustainability, otherwise I'm like, I just wanna look at the handout.
So it's conditional?
It's conditional,
Okay.
really, actually, Christina, do you have can you show your side, it says budget at the top? That's the one that I'm gonna need just one here, Nikki. Okay, I don't have one.
Yep. You want that side, you want the side of this mission.
Right, so really what Nikki just did was talk you through the front side. Okay, so what I'm gonna do in my 5 minutes is talk you through the backside. So we just wanted to be super transparent. We want to just tell you, get to the brass tacks. We can share with you what the community has shared with us. You have your own stories of impact. We're thankful to go through the feasibility study and interview between 40 and 50 community members who said, yes, we need something consistent. We need something reliable. We need something really every day. We need something that's going to be here for a long time. And I'm looking at you, Max, and I just think, yay, when your kiddos were club members at the Bemidji Club, I'm so happy that we're still doing what we're doing, right? That hundreds of thousands, actually 4,400 some kids have come through our program at Bemidji. And that's now 20 some years later. We want to be that. We want to be in partnership with you as a city and as a community 20 years from now. Now, Nikki will still be employed. I hope that I will be retired in 20 years. Retired, a couple of us will be retired. Some of you young folk, you might still be here, but that's the hope, right? Is that we don't want to be a program that's gonna then churn in another year, churn in another 2 years. The most important thing that we do, absolutely positively, is all about relationship building. And so we don't want to be that. But at the same time, like, we can't pay our staff with like donated, used books. Unfortunately, we can't pay our staff with the puzzles that come in and some of those types of things. So we need, and it's professional staff, so professional trained staff, and that's really, really important. So the brass tacks is, this is how much we're spending. This is how much we're on kind of target, not to spend, but we budgeted. We had a 2-year grant from the state of Minnesota, Minnesota Department of Education, to really just kick us off and start up, which was a miracle / a gift to begin with. But our role as a community and as Boys and Girls Club and the wider community is to find ways that we're going to work together for the next 2 decades at least. And so what it comes down to is that we have staff. 84% of our budget is to pay staff. So that's staff and benefits and all the FICAs and those types of things that comes in there. And that's staff right now on a 1-to-15 ratio. So we're not going to be that program that 25, 30 kids is going to be in one program space with one staff. There's not the depth of programming. We can't do homework help if there's 30 kids in the room. We can't talk about, hey, Tori, are those really the friends that you want to be hanging out with? We can't have those conversations, those relationship conversations, the say no conversations, the let's keep you on track. Let's do your, Christina, what are you good at? And what interests you? Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, we can't have those conversations if we're programming at a large scale. So we need to keep it at 1-to-15. The other things is program supplies. So of course we're going to need you know, paper and markers. Ellie, who is Lori's granddaughter, showed me, one of the things she earns with her points, and it's like this art thing. I totally didn't get it. She's like, oh, it's like a sticker, and then you put bedazzle it, and I was like, gotcha. All of those take funds in order to make it fun for the kids to want to come, want to do good things, want to be kind, want to help, want to learn the life skills. There's a little bit in professional development. It is worth noting that the school is already bought in, right? That is really, really super important. Their their in-kind donation is substantial. So the room itself, all the periphery rooms that we can use on a scheduled basis, and our dedicated room, all of, like, anytime we say, hey, Randy, can we have this bookcase put here and stuff to the wall, and can you fix this, and you can come in and fix that and do this, and then they clean and janitorial and all of the things and the occupants and the heat and blah, blah, blah. It's like the stuff in Bemidji at our clubhouse that I'm like, oh, it takes so much money and time and nobody wants to fund it. Like the toilet paper, the paper towels, the heat, the lights, it's like not a super as fun thing to fund, but it's necessary. And so we're thankful to the school, super grateful and thankful to the school for their donation. We have I just talked about 5 minutes on the first one. So what you should know is that we have a really, really comprehensive funding plan with United Way. And so that's the second section here. We have a MOA in place, which is really a more formal plan with them, because they were the one ultimately that came to us and said, we really believe, based off of what we're hearing kind of in that COVID, a little bit post-COVID time, that this community needs a Boys and Girls Club. What you do for the kids in Bemidji, we want you to be able to do that up here. So they have done a lot of things to open doors and make that happen for us here. Like in Bemidji, we can't actually raise money in September and October, because it's the blackout for the United Way. Here, they're like, raise as much money during September and October as you want. How about they work with businesses to do payroll deductions? All of those payroll deductions are going to help the budget, which is huge. Like that's their kind of like main jam and giving. Annie from the United Way, or Danae, was going to try to be here tonight. Unfortunately, they couldn't, just to show their support. But they proofed it today, and we obviously have their logo and all the good things. We're very, very close. And so we have a whole strategic plan in terms of individuals, local businesses, churches, and civic organizations. But it is about local government funding too. We already secured a $200,000 in 1 year and $200,000 in the next year. So over $400,000 is coming into this community from that state grant. So that's been done. We just submitted a federal grant. Now we don't know how all the things are happening out in DC. We don't know, but what we do know is that we did our very, very best job. We had it rated by a professional grant writer. We made the changes to it and we shipped it off March 14th to apply for additional funds from the Department of Education. Anyway, so, but we don't know. That's like we don't know. It was a very, very strong application. It was only for this club. It was only for this community. We didn't write it for Bemidji. We didn't write it for JW Smith and Bemidji. We only wrote it for Blackduck. We feel really, really good about it. We won't find out till July. It'll be hard, really hard, if we don't get that particular grant. We've had recent conversations with Landon. We need to kind of tweak some of our location types of things for them, because it just happened to say that we were in Bemidji, but we had a Blackduck site, and so we have to now just say, oh, forget about Bemidji, we only have a Blackduck site. So we need to do some tweaking the next time we talk to them. But what we're asking you now, this might not be a reality, but what we're asking you is to fund 3% of our budget, which is about $10,000 a year. And what that will, and we would like, I know this is big numbers, this is not small pocket change, but there are there are communities across and city governments across the country that do support their local Boys and Girls Club, sometimes through their Health and Human Services Department, sometimes through their law enforcement part, sometimes through other type of operational things. But again, being here for the next 5 years is important. Being here for the next 10 is really important. That's why we're asking for a multi-year commitment, so that you know that we are gonna do our hardest work to make sure that it's sustainable, and that we know then that you will be committed to making sure that we aren't alone in trying to raise these dollars. So obviously what we're doing is providing safe and fun places, teaching life skills, being a consistent place, providing healthy meals and snacks for growing kids, funding new jobs, and enabling those families that currently have kids to stay working during those out of school time hours, so that they know that their kid is safe, they know that their kid is learning and productive. We know what they're doing. We know what they're not doing. So we know both of those things, right? We know that they're not running around the streets as Blackduck. We know that they're not taking drugs. We know that they're not doing those things. Now, this is a level that you're like, I'm gonna freak out about, then talk about it. It's not an all or nothing thing, but we wanted to give you the brass tacks. We wanted to tell you, like, I have already been talking, I have secured a $15,000 gift from a Bemidji donor for this site, because they believe in what we're doing. $15,000 a year. So like, it's out there, but they also need to know that they're not gonna be the only $15,000 gift or the only $10,000 gift. And we know that writing grants can be ups and downsies. It doesn't always pan out the way that you want it to pan out. So we need to start planning for the future. And that's what we're asking you to consider tonight. So lots of information, lots of bullets, cutie kids that you may recognize. There might be a Daniel. He looks like this. There might be a Ellie. She looks like this. So cute right there.
Yeah, is the budget listed at the top there, is that per year, or was that your 2 year?
The 336.
That is per year.
Because
I'm just clarifying, just making sure
100%,
that we're.
because that is 19 contact hours a week in the school year for 38 weeks. So we're running like 47 weeks out of the year. We're gonna do 9 in the summer, 3 days a week, 10 hours a day. So, and that's what we've heard people need here. Nobody wants Friday programming anyway, so it's like, it's great. In the summer. So we're like, oh, we'll do maybe Monday through Thursday. It's like, no, we really just, that's what we've heard. So yes, that's what it is about per year. I had my finance guy look through it again. I was like, do you think we're out of line? He's like, I actually think that we're a little bit lean, but there are things that we had to buy in this first year that we're not gonna have to buy again. I mean, I hope we don't have to buy staff shirts. I mean, they do get stinky, but I hope we don't have to buy a whole lot, like a lot of them every single year, right? Because we'll retain some of our staff. I hope we won't have to buy some of those pieces of technology that we needed to buy the first year. But there isn't a lot of that in there. So with that, do you have any questions? Otherwise, we're gonna present you with a piece of art from one of our club members. Her name is Rose.
One of these from my son.
If you were at the open house, you might have been the lucky winner of one of those on our like lotto game drawing thing. But if you weren't, now you have one of your own. We also have one for Lori, because we saw her a few minutes ago at the club, but I didn't know that she wasn't gonna be here until she said she wasn't gonna be here, so I have one for her at the club.
Thank you.
So when she picks up Ellie tomorrow, she'll have her own.
She's just on a break.
So
Now the big question is, how fast do we need an answer?
not fast. I mean, it'd be great. I mean, everyone works better by a deadline. I'm 100% sure of that. So, I mean, if you have a couple 3 meetings, which would be like 6 weeks-ish from now, 2 months-ish from now, that would be fine. You definitely, I wouldn't want to rush you into something that is this level of investment. I wouldn't rush anybody into a level of investment like this. But I would ask you to consider it and consider what that means to the overall sustainability.
Well, let's
So 2 months,
make sure it's on our work session. so-
100%, because then I'd like to reach out to a couple of municipalities and governments to see how they're funding energy and all that, because what is allowable and what isn't, from a levy standpoint versus, you know, a commitment on a gambling rent is, you know, not always something you can.
Yeah, or the fire department for,
Well, we have a lot of ups and downs of it coming right now, and Scott just gave the city a kind of a
yeah, we don't know where there's.
a binocular version of what could happen as it is with the shade store.
Or is there anything you'd like to add as a Blackduck Advisory Committee member? Jennifer Parker and Lori Lumberg, Senator reps also. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of Nikki, and of course you can get a hold of me anytime. If you haven't been to the Club Hub, we'd love to invite you over for a tour. Maybe Daniel can be a tour guide, maybe Ellie.
Fully owned from Points.
Probably.
And you have my number, and Nikki, I'm sure you guys both, okay. We'll be in touch, and I really appreciate you coming in and doing this.
Yeah.
And giving us the numbers.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you think we should know about in the next section? Otherwise,
No, I think we'll put it on the work session agenda, and I'll try to do a little homework prior to, so we can really get a good idea of if that number is attainable.
yeah. Also, as I share with some of our larger major donors, would say, if it works better for you to just like chunk that up and say, whatever, I can't do the math on 10,000 divided by 12 right now very well, but chunk that up in between quarters, or maybe there's like better quarters or worse quarters, or maybe they're just like monthly or whatever. Like, I would just, you know, ask you to consider that as well as an option.
Get creative.
For sure. Cool. We'll sit back in. We've definitely taken more than 15 minutes.
Thank you. Item B under my report is the request to approve the appointments and designations resolution revision, taking Christie off of the planning commission. I will have a vacancy notice in the paper this Saturday to support that.
Nick, you wanna make a motion on that? I'll move to approve resolution 2025-01. Resolution of annual appointments and designators.
Looks good.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
And then item C for discussion stems off the work session on Counselor Johnson's request to update our resolution to allow chickens. Last week I sent the council some literature that I looked around the rest of the state of Minnesota for some sample regulations. I still haven't received an actual ordinance from anyone. Turns out Hillier actually did not update their ordinance. They're just allowing it at this time, so it's unofficial. But that their board is allowing it in town until there's a problem, was my communication with the clerk. It must be working because they don't have any problems. I provided a few parameters. Big Lake had a really good one, especially as it pertains to how to handle chicken coops. And then the last one I gave you was from the University of Minnesota Extension Office on raising chickens. Some of the questions and concerns at the last meeting were health and safety. And I feel like that quick facts really covered a lot of those high points. And would like to know if there's any like big bullet points or suggestions from other cities that stood out from everybody else that the council would like to see drafted if the ordinance moves forward, because I really don't want to just provide to the council, you know, a total sample from another city and then it not work for us. So I'm looking for some feedback from the board members, please.
Well, for the people I talked to, they said that they didn't have a problem with someone that was going to have, if they were going to have chickens. As long as, one, it's, you know, it's easy to say that it's done correctly, but I mean, like, you know, the no rooster rule. You know, you put a limit on the number, a 2 chicken per person. Kind of thing, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And that, you know, should something, you know, come of it, that they would be able to contact someone and have something done.
See, and that's my biggest concern. Because of our other conversation with dogs. So we don't have a health and safety, you know, department in this little tiny small town. So when Hillier says until they have a problem, who's to say one's a problem and one's not? That's why on a collective, it needs to be agreed to,
Yeah, how many is a problem?
right?
Well, and how they're being kept.
Right.
That was something someone said to me that,
The coop.
yeah, your coop, it's a plastic dog kennel. Which they had a problem somewhere else, so
Okay,
they were keeping them in like those, and it was horrific conditions for the chickens and for the neighbors.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
Good
something
feedback.
that they were like proper.
And that's
Proper
what I mean.
coops
It
has to be spelled out,
It
yeah.
has to be done correctly.
I
You're-
really
you're-
appreciated the city of Rosemount's flyer and their regulations.
Yeah.
It very well spelled out like how far away the coop had to be from your
And that's what I mean, how
setbacks.
many specific.
Everything to the T, how far off the ground the coop had to be, how long their runs could be, that they needed to be netted on the top, everything is spelled out on here. They also, you know, require registration the first year at $100 cost, and then 50 after each year they do it,
Permitting, yeah.
a permitting fee. So I'm trying to get some ideas about what the board is looking for in terms of regulations.
And no,
the city's
when I
gonna
said that I
move
talked to
forward,
some people too, it wasn't just, you know, like my neck of the woods where there's, you know, I'm right on the edge
Yeah.
of city limits. Where you're not gonna have, you know, that much problem.
You're not as dense.
Well, I'm pretty dense.
I meant with neighbors.
The rest of it.
You don't back up
that's
to
negotiable.
another neighbor like Nick does.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talked to some folks that, you know, that they did have, and that was their concern, was
How they're housed.
that coop and the number. You know. A family of, all of a sudden you got a family of 6 and 12 chickens with a very small yard, you know. That can be a mess.
I also talked to a couple of my neighbors and what happened now. Well, I talked to 4 and there's 2 and 2, so.
Okay, like
No,
2 no's, 2 yeses. Interesting, okay.
so maybe if that's the case, you'd have to get your neighbors, adjoining neighbors permission or something.
So
I
Okay.
think that that's what.
somebody, one of the things in here said,
You'd have to have.
you'd ask your neighbor or something.
Valid.
But I can see, like you, obviously, you have a bigger yard, you're kind of off to the side.
I don't have it, yeah, I'm kind of off
Yeah.
the side.
Or if you're in a more condensed area, I wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think what you provided, Christine, is very helpful. Thank you for doing all that and getting those regulations. Distributed them, but I think these other cities have done a thorough job of delineating what
Mhm.
can be, like you're saying, coop sizes, runs, hours.
Yeah.
Have to be locked up, so
Yeah.
there's certainly the opportunity out there to control it.
Who's gonna control it?
You know, I mean, if you have a,
That's the biggest thing, who's gonna control it, who's gonna say, okay, you're doing it right? Are we gonna designate someone that's gonna go around and do inspections, or is it just a free flow? I mean, there has to be. 'Cause people are gonna abuse it. Human nature.
well, people abuse everything,
Yeah.
so you're right.
Christina, did we get any sense from Kelly about how many citizens are doing this? How many different properties?
No,
I mean, it could be just one as far as we know.
No, I don't like eggs that much.
but yeah, when I asked them, their clerk for their ordinance, it was identical to ours. And I was like, okay, but what about the chickens? And she's like, nope, we just haven't officially changed the ordinance. And they're much smaller than us even, so I get that, that's okay. And I think that's why they're trying to like cast a line and see how many people are willing to do it before it becomes something they need to completely stop. But I am not in favor of that. I think that's a slippery slope.
Which she said she had one person that had looked at. When I was up there talking to her, she goes, one person let them free range. And they got into the neighbor's garden or something, and that got stopped right away.
Oh, boy.
And then they penned them up, and then they never had, she said we didn't have any more problems with the rest of the people.
So where the biggest difference is it's really good that Kellier can do that because they are small. But they are small, you know, and they know who it is and who it isn't. We
Right.
don't have that luxury. We have a lot more apartments in town. Yeah,
Well, it should, well, this is something that could be possibly in there, you should have to own the property.
That's a good point.
You have to be the property owner.
Yes.
You can't do this on rental property.
You can't do it off to the back of your apartment.
Well, there you go. On a rooftop, no, you know. it
No,
should
that's a
be-
good point.
It should be property owner.
Okay.
So it can't be, even if it's a residential house, it has to be owned by the chicken operator, not rented.
well, that's a very good point because there's a very high percentage of our single family homes that are rented in this town.
Correct.
And usually people that own their homes take a little bit better care of stuff, usually.
I would say.
I said usually.
Well, although I tend to agree with it's nice to have
The restriction that if you are the property owner, you can do this. I'm a little worried that you are not, you're not allowing it for everyone. And that's one of the things the city has to think about is if you do for one, you do for all is always what I think about. So I don't know if you can really permit that.
Well, you can,
Oh, you
because,
can't, cause, go ahead.
I'm sorry, well, you can, because if the property owner, being the person who's renting it, comes and gets. You know, allows it, let's say that I own a house and I allowed that these people, yes, you can have some chickens on here. Then my name, because I own the house, needs
There's
to
the one
be,
that's done.
needs to
on the
be,
permit.
that way I don't live in Arizona and I'm renting here and I come back
Mhm.
and there's 45 chickens in my backyard. So I mean, I think there's a way to be inclusive if the landlord is in agreement, but if the property owner needs to be the one to get the permit.
And sometimes it's just not fair.
Well, you pay a lot, like if you rent and you have a dog or a cat, you pay a lot more,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? But if you're willing to put that deposit and take care of it, then I don't know. I mean,
Yep.
but dogs and cats are different than chickens, but I'm just saying that there was a way to be that
Right.
inclusive a little bit in the fact that you got the rental.
Good point.
So,
Then what happens if somebody has a complaint, what goes from there?
so one of my thoughts on that kind of stemmed from the mess we were having with the dogs as well. Because this ordinance is in the health and safety section of our ordinance. And it just so happens to be in the same section, dog litter and waste is in. One of my thoughts was to kind of like a 3 strikes you're out thing. Like if you are the dog owner or the chicken owner and you have 3 warnings, then you have to get rid of them. And I'm not just saying the chickens, but I'm also saying the dogs. Let's put some skin back on the people that are the owners of these
Yes.
animals that are creating some problems for our community. And I can possibly do twofold by updating the ordinance and putting some regulations on back on the pet owners or the farmed animal owner. And if you have
Okay.
3 warnings within X amount of time, you must get rid of that. Your permit's pulled.
Good idea.
We can continue the conversation when you have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still reaching out to some other smaller cities for some samples of their ordinance since I could not get Kellier's. So I have maybe some more draft language and we will continue this conversation. I don't feel like it's gonna be a one and done kind of thing. But I think that Ron
If you
said
get 2
this
for
is,
1 on this, then I think it's a win.
this is a good jumping off point for me to at least start with some documentation for the draft and update the ordinance.
I didn't get emergency on either, so I'll stop in there.
No, I can't get it either. I can't even find it on their website.
I'll stop in there tomorrow.
And with that, Christina?
Go back to my agenda, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else. Our department had a really busy March, this year than February. We did over $100,000 in the DMV, with DNR and DMV, and this is, huge month for us.
So a lot of stickers.
We've, I mean, granted, we don't get all of that funding, but we are definitely starting to pull traffic from other places. Much higher than I thought it would ever be. And, I need to start considering in 2026 to probably having a half part-time person.
Good.
So my goal is when we work on the 2026 budget to potentially have like a Friday person just to help out. It's very consistent Mondays and Fridays for us to be really busy. Tuesdays, Thursdays a little bit slower, but you can definitely tell the difference on the day of the month as we get to the end of the month when everybody's tabs are due, or the first of the next month when somebody might be a day late. Our traffic is really busy, which puts kind of a hardship on our department, especially when it's a payroll week or a utility billing week or a council week. So,
Which is every week, right? Doesn't it just about hit every week?
well,
One of those things is happening.
every now and then, Paige and I get like a 3 or 4 days where it's okay, but you know, again, like I've stated before. It used to be a lot easier for one of us to take some time off. It's getting increasingly harder with only having 2 people in the office to being able to handle that much volume. And keep in mind, $100,000 isn't everything. I mean, we do a lot of title transfers for vehicles that are, 2020s and newer, or 2010s and older, and the value of the vehicle is what drives that dollar amount, especially, or the registration. So you may do a lot for like Rieger logging. We do all of Daryl's business for Northwoods Lumber. All of Juleson's business. So anybody that's got any fleet of vehicles, we're doing them. So that's where those numbers are getting really high. But we're gonna keep pushing through it. So, couple of dates on the agenda for you guys. There is a golf board meeting this Wednesday. And those of you on the council are aware of that. That's gonna be at the golf course. The 16th is the next planning commission meeting at 2 p.m. And your work session is the 21st, that Monday. Then on Friday, April 25th at 1 o'clock, the county assessor's office will be here for the local board of appeal and equalization. That's at 1. On May 1, we got an invitation for something for the council to attend, and I need to know pretty soon if you're interested in attending. It is on May 1 at 9:30. And it is a Managing Difficult Conversations with Constituents and Colleagues workshop. It is free. It's at the Northwest Minnesota Foundation. And that is a Thursday morning, about a 90-minute. If anybody is interested, please send details to the contacts that are on the flyer that I sent you. I think the deadline for sign up is in here somewhere. It was in the email that I may have forwarded to you guys. It's very, very soon. I think by the end of this week, you need to register. No charge. I'm intrigued. The next city council meeting is May 5th. That's gonna be our, since January, like our beginning of the month, with not a whole lot of wiggle room. May 5th, from the first of the month, so that will be a pretty tight week for us to get bills in. We'll do our best to get everything done. And then May 15th is citywide cleanup. That's been advertised on our social media. It is on our website. It's very easy to sign up. The jot form is working. I already have somebody registered. So, hope people are looking at that. Paige and I are gonna be in and out, back and forth. One of us here, one of us gone. Good portion of this month. Got a vacation at the end of the month, so please be kind.
Who said that?
If anybody's got any questions on what's going on up here, please let me know. Any questions about anything else? I haven't gotten around to do the signs. Ron, thank you for the input on the cleanup signs I shared with Mike, and we'll discuss it.
Okay. Anything else? Don already brought up the bingo stuff for the chamber, so.
That's April
27.
We said,
27th.
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody ever does. What, last meeting out, you're just gonna. No. We stand adjourned, thank you.